How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from May 16th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today. And before I do, I'm going to take a quick step back and look at where we are in the calendar year. First, in the NBA playoffs, we are now at the conference final round as there are now 4 teams left as the first conference final game will be played today. Taking a look at what's going on with the NHL, we are in the conference semis as we are in the divisional final round. There are now 8 teams that are left in the Stanley Cup playoff as the first 2 matchups are going to be taking place today and the next two series are going to be starting tomorrow. In the MLB, of course, we are in the second month of an MLB season that's going to be lasting into October. Not to mention that with the German season already being over, we are seeing a bunch of other European seasons become one game closer to their ends. And of course, I'm going to narrate you and walk you through every single step. With that said, starting off with the playoff matchups in the States, there was no playoff basketball or hockey yesterday, but looking first at what's going on with playoff basketball today. At 8:30 on ESPN, the top seed in the East, Miami Heat, are going to host the 2 seed Boston Celtics. Looking at how both teams got here, the Heat ended up beating the 8 seed Atlanta Hawks by 5 in the first series after the Hawks won their 2 play-in games. The Heat would go on to the Eastern Conference semis where they would beat the 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers 4-2 in a series, of course, in which Joel Embiid was dealing with a good amount of stuff, but they would go on to overwhelm the Philadelphia 76ers as a team. Looking at how the 2 seed Celtics got here, they ended up sweeping the 7 seed Brooklyn Nets in the first round. They would then go on to defeat the defending NBA champs Milwaukee Bucks in 7 games yesterday. So their path was just as tough, just as rigorous, probably more rigorous than the Heat to get here. So now they're finally here. The winner of this series will go on to the NBA Finals to face off against the winner between the 3 and 4 seeds in the West, the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. So that's what's going on there. Taking a look at what's going on with the NHL, looking at the first 2 matchups going on today, they're going to be on TNT. The first is going to be in Sunrise, Florida, as the 1 seed coming out of the Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers, are set to host the 3 seed of the Atlantic Division, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Looking at how both of these teams got here, it looks as though the Florida Panthers beat the second wildcard seed in the East, the Washington Capitals, in 6 games in order to make it here. The defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, Tampa Bay Lightning, ended up beating the 2 seed Toronto Maple Leafs from the Atlantic Division. They won it 4-3, and they were able to advance here. The winner of this matchup will go to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they will face off against the winner between the 1 and 2 seeds in the Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers. At 9:30 today on TNT, we're going to see Game 1 in the West between the team who had the best record in the Central Division and the entire Western Conference, the Colorado Avalanche. They're going to host the 3 seed in the Central, the St. Louis Blues. Looking at how they both got here, the Colorado Avalanche were the only team to sweep their opponent in the first round as they beat the second wildcard seed in the West, the Nashville Predators, 4-0. The St. Louis Blues made it here after they beat the 2 seed in the Central, Minnesota Wild, in 6 games. And of course, the team with home ice advantage will be the Avalanche. The winner of this series will go on to the Western Conference Finals, where they'll face off against either the 1 or the 2 seed out of the Pacific Divisions, the Calgary Flames or the Edmonton Oilers, both of which coming from Canada. Taking a look now at what is going on outside of hockey and what's going on in the MLB. Starting off in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Rays hosted the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers would end up beating the Rays 3-2 off of a go-ahead solo home run in the top of the 9th by Harold Castro. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Tampa Bay Rays were led out by their starting pitcher and former Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. He would go on to finish allowing 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 8 batters. The loss for the Tampa Bay Rays would go to their closer, Andrew Kittredge. Kittredge allowed one earned run off of one hit in the ninth inning, and with this loss, he's 3-1. In the Rays batting lineup, the only player with a multi-hit game was their right fielder, Brett Phillips. Brett Phillips he went 3 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs as he had his third home run of the year. On the winning end of this matchup, the Detroit Tigers would be led out by their starting pitcher for the day, Alex Faedo. Faedo would allow one earned run off of 4 hits in the 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 1. The win would go to the Tigers setup relief pitcher Michael Fulmer. He allowed one earned run off of 1 hit in the 8th inning as he struck out a batter and walked 1. He would pick up his second blown save of the year, but with this win, he's now 2-2. The save would go to the Tigers closer Gregory Soto. He allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. This will be his 6th save of the year. In the Tigers batting lineup, the only player with a multi-hit game was their left fielder, Willie Castro. He would end up going 2 for 4 on the night. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are now 13-23. That is the worst record in the American League Central and the worst record in the American League win percentage-wise. The only teams with a worse record with worse records than the Detroit Tigers in the MLB are the Washington Nationals and the Cincinnati Reds in the National League. The Tigers have now won their last 4 games. Their 4-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the major leagues right now, holding the worst record in the American League. They've now won 5 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 8 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. And with this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are 21-15. That is the second best record in the American League East. They've now lost 5 of their last 10 games. They now sit 5.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees at this moment. Taking a look at what happened in Miami, not that far away from Tampa, the Marlins hosted the Washington Nationals. The Marlins would end up beating the Nationals 8-2 after the Nats scored the first run of the game. The Marlins took the lead off of a 2-run single from Eric Gonzalez when the game was tied up at 1. They would go on to win it 8-2 if I didn't mention the score earlier. On the losing end of this matchup, the Washington Nationals saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Aaron Sanchez. Sanchez allowed 4 earned runs off of 8 hits in the 3.2 innings he pitched. He struck out 2 batters and walked 3. With this loss, he's 2-3. In the Nats batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Marlins saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Sandy Alcantara. He allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 8 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 1. With this win, he's now 3-2. In the Marlins batting lineup, their second baseman, Jazz Chisholm Jr., went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their designated hitter, Jesus Aguilar, went 2 for 5. Their left fielder, Jorge Soler, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. The right fielder, Avisail Garcia, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his third home run of the year. Their center fielder, Brian De La Cruz, went 3 for 4 with a run. And then their catcher, Jacob Stallings, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Miami Marlins are 16-19. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East. They've won 4 of their last 10 games as they sit 6.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are 12-25. That is the worst record in the National League East as they've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. They are now sitting 11.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. The only team with a worse record than them in the major leagues is the Cincinnati Reds at this point in the year. Taking a look at what happened in Baltimore, the Orioles hosted the New York Yankees, and the Yankees were able to pick up yet another win this season as they beat the Orioles 6-2. The Orioles never really had a chance to take the lead as they scored their first run after the Yankees already had 4. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Baltimore Orioles would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Kyle Bradish. Bradish allowed 4 earned runs off of 8 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He struck out 6 batters and walked 3. With this loss, he's 1-2. In the Orioles batting lineup, their right fielder, Anthony Santander, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 5th and 6th home runs of the season were the 2 runs that the Orioles had all day. On the winning end of this matchup, the New York Yankees saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Luis Severino. Severino allowed 1 earned run off of 1 hit as he pitched 6 innings. He struck out 7 batters and would walk 2. With this win, he's now 3-0. In the Yankees batting lineup, their third baseman Josh Donaldson went 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 5th home run of the year. Their elite second baseman Gleyber Torres ended up going 2 for 3 with a run. And then their catcher in this matchup, Jose Trevino, would end up going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. With this win, or I guess before that, I get to that, Trevino hit his first home run of the year, if I didn't mention it. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 26-9. That is the best record in the American League East. That is also the best record in all of the majors as of right now. They're the only team who's won at least 70% of their games, and they're the only team in the majors who's lost a single-digit amount of games, as they are 35 games into their season. The Yankees have now won their last 2 games. They have now won 8 of their last 10. They are now sitting 5.5 games ahead of the second-place Tampa Bay Rays within their division. Taking a look at where the Orioles are following this loss, they are now 14-22. That is currently the worst record in the American League East. They have now lost their last 4 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 12.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. Taking a look now at what happened north of the border in Toronto, the Blue Jays hosted the Seattle Mariners. The Blue Jays would end up beating the Mariners 6-2 after the Blue Jays would score the first 3 runs of the game. The Mariners never really got a chance to take the lead. On the losing end, the loss went to Chris Flexen, the Mariners starting pitcher. He allowed 3 earned runs off of 6 hits and 5.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 2 before he was pulled in the 6th. With this loss, Chris Flexen is 1-6. In the Mariners batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their pinch-hitting outfielder, Adam Frazier. He went 2 for 2 with an RBI. And then their elite third baseman, Eugenio Suarez, went 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs as he had home run number 7 of the year. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Toronto Blue Jays saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 3. With this win, Yusei Kikuchi is 2-1. The save would end up going to the Blue Jays closer, Adam Simber. He allowed no earned runs in .2 innings as he finished the 9th. He would strike out a batter as he picked up save number 2 on the year. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Bo Bichette, went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the year. And then their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the season. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are 19-17. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They've now won 3 of their last 10 games, and they've won 7.5. Or they've now won 3 of their last 10. They are sitting 7.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees at this moment. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are 16-20. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit 7 games behind the division-leading Houston Astros and the runners-up for the moment, the LA Angels. Taking a look at what happened in Boston, the Red Sox hosted the AL West leading Astros, and the Red Sox would come away with a 6-3 win. The Astros held a 3-2 lead going into the bottom of the 7th. The Red Sox would tie it up off of a solo home run from Trevor Story. They would take the lead in the bottom of the 8th off of an RBI double from JD Martinez, and then Xander Bogaerts would hit a 2-run home run to end the game as they would go on to finish this 6-3 win at home. On the losing end of this matchup, the reigning American League champs were led out by their starting pitcher, Jake Odorizzi. Odorizzi allowed 2 runs off of 3 hits in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 4 batters and walked 1. The loss would go to the Astros closer for the day, Hector Neris. Neris allowed 3 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 8th inning as he struck out a batter and even walked 1. With this loss, he's 0-2. In the Astros batting lineup, their left fielder Michael Brantley went 2 for 4 with a run. Their center fielder Chas McCormick went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 4th home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Boston Red Sox were led out by their starting pitcher Garrett Whitlock. Whitlock allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 3 batters and would walk 2. The win would go to the Red Sox setup relief pitcher Matt Strahm. Strahm allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit. He would finish off the 7th inning and pitch the entire 8th as he struck out 3 batters in 1.2 innings. With this win, he's now 2-1. The save for the Red Sox would go to their closer for the day, Hansel Robles. Robles allowed no earned runs and only one hit in the ninth inning. This is Robles' second save of the year. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their center fielder, Kike Hernandez, went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their elite designated hitter, JD Martinez, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their elite shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, went 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his third home run of the year. Their elite second baseman, Trevor Story, went 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his second home run of the year. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 14-21. That is the fourth best record in the American League East. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 12 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees for the time being. With this loss, the Houston Astros are 23-13. That is still the best record in the American League West. That is the second best record in the American League for the time being, as only the Yankees have a better record than them there. And then they have now lost only 2 of their last 10. They have 1 less win and 1 less loss than the Angels, so they're sitting about even with them. They sit 7 games ahead of the third-place Seattle Mariners and the fourth-place Texas Rangers in their division. Taking a look at what happened in Chicago, in Wrigley, the Cubs hosted the Pittsburgh Pirates and would shut the Pirates out 9-0, scoring 8 runs in the first inning alone, as of course the Cubs would put it on, finishing it off with a grand slam from their catcher, Wilson Contreras. On the losing end of this matchup, the Pittsburgh Pirates would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Dylan Peters. Dylan Peters would not even make it out the first inning as he allowed 5 earned runs off of 4 hits in .2 innings pitched. He would walk a batter, and with this loss, he's 3-2. In the Pirates batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit, as that would be attributed to great pitching from the Cubs, as they allowed only 3 hits all game. The win for the Cubs went to their starting pitcher, Wade Miley. Miley allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in the 7 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters, and with this win, he's now 1-0. In the Cubs batting lineup, their designated hitter, Wilson Contreras, went 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. His grand slam was his 5th home run of the season. Not to mention, he also hit his 7th double of the year. Their left fielder, Ian Happ, would go 3 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their catcher, Yan Gomes, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And with this win, the Chicago Cubs are 14-20. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central, as they've now won their last 3 games. They are holding on to the longest active winning streak in the National League. The only team with a longer winning streak than the Cubs right now is the Detroit Tigers. The Cubs have now won 5 of their last 10. They are now sitting 8 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers at this point. Taking a look now at where the Pirates are following this loss, they are now 15-20. That is the 3rd best record in the NL Central. They've now lost 5 of their last 10 as they sit 7.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at what's going on in Milwaukee, speaking of the Brewers, the NL Central defending champs went on to host the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves, and the Brewers would beat the Braves 1-0. The lone run of this game was scored off of a wild pitch by Ian Anderson in the 6th, as this was an amazing pitching from both sides. On the losing end of this matchup, the Atlanta Braves saw the loss go to Ian Anderson. He allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 2. With this loss, Anderson is 3-2 on the year. In the Braves batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit, as the Brewers held the Braves to only 2 hits all game. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Milwaukee Brewers saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta allowed no earned runs and only 2 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He would strike out 10 batters and only walk 1. With this win, he's now 3-1. The save would go to the Brewers closer, Josh Hader. Hader would allow no earned runs and no hits in the 9th inning as he struck out all 3 of the batters he needed to get out. He now has 14 saves on the year following yesterday. In the Brewers batting lineup, the only player with a multi-hit game for both teams was the Brewers shortstop, Luis Urias. Urias would end up going 2 for 3. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 23-13. That is the best record in the National League Central, as they are tied with the New York Mets for the 2nd best record in the National League behind the LA Dodgers. The Brewers have now won their last 2 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They are sitting 3 games ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals within their own division. With this loss, the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves are 16-20. That is the 4th best record in the National League East, as they have now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 5 of their last 10. And they are sitting 7 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look now at what is going on in Arlington, the Rangers hosted the LA Angels, and they would go on to win it 7-4. After the Angels scored the first 3 runs of the game, the Rangers would, of course, score 6 in the bottom of the first, taking the lead off of a Jonah Heim fielding error, or I guess Jonah Heim hit, leading Adolis Garcia to the plate. And, of course, the Angels would not be able to come back after that first inning. On the losing end of this matchup, the LA Angels saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard allowed 6 runs off of 4 hits as he didn't make it out the first inning. We would strike out a batter and walk 2, and with this loss, he's 3-2. In the Angels batting lineup, their right fielder, Taylor Ward, went 2 for 5 with a run. He was the only player on the team with a multi-hit game. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Texas Rangers saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Jon Gray. Jon Gray allowed 4 earned runs off of 8 hits in the 5.2 innings he pitched. He struck out 8 batters and walked 1. With this win, he's now 1-1. The save would end up going to the Rangers' closer for the day, Joe Barlow. Barlow allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter and even walked 1. This is the 7th save of the year. In the Rangers batting lineup, their left fielder Eli White went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then their designated hitter in this matchup, Sam Huff, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Texas Rangers are 15-19. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've won their last 2 games. They've won 5 of their last 10. They are sitting 7 games behind the division-leading Houston Astros and, of course, the runner-up LA Angels. As with this loss, the LA Angels are 24-14. That is the 2nd best record in the AL West, as they have 1 more win and 1 more loss than the Astros, as they have the 2nd most wins in the American League. They have now lost 4 of their last 10, as they are sitting just about even with the Astros, sitting 7 games ahead of the 3rd place Mariners and the 4th place Rangers in the division. Taking a look at what happened in Kansas City, the Royals went on to host the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox would go on to beat the Royals 5-3. The Royals would tie the game up at 3 in the bottom of the 8th to send the game into extra innings. In extra innings, it would be a 2-run home run from Luis Robert. That would be the difference for the White Sox and get them back to 500. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Kansas City Royals saw the start go to Brad Keller. Keller allowed 3 earned runs off of 8 hits in 7 innings pitched. He struck out 3 batters. The loss would go to the Royals' setup relief pitcher in this matchup, Scott Barlow. Scott Barlow would allow 2 runs off of 1 hit in 1.2 innings pitched, as he would get pulled in the 10th. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 1, and with this loss, he's 2-1. In the Royals batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Whit Merrifield, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. He was the only player with a multi-hit game. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago White Sox would see the start go to Johnny Cueto. Cueto would allow no earned runs and only 2 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 2. The win would go to the White Sox setup relief pitcher Ryan Burr. Burr allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. The save would go to the White Sox elite closer and the reigning American League first team or American League closer reliever of the year, Liam Hendriks. Liam Hendriks allowed no earned runs and no hits in the 10th inning as he struck out all 3 of the batters he needed to get out. He would pick up his 10th save of the year. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop Tim Anderson went 2 for 5. Their center fielder Luis Robert went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs, as his go-ahead home run was his 5th of the year. Their catcher Yasmani Grandal went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run, as he hit his 2nd home run of the year. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are 17-17. That is the 2nd best record in the American League Central, as they've won 6 of their last 10. They are now sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are 12-21. That is the 4th best record in the AL Central, as they've now lost 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 7.5 games behind the division-leading Twins. And taking a look at what happened in the Mile High City, the Colorado Rockies hosted the San Francisco Giants. The Giants would end up beating the Rockies 7-6. The Rockies scored the first run of the game, and after they would go on to tie the game up at 4 going into the 7th, it would be the Giants who would take the lead in the top of the 9th off of a Mike Yastrzemski home run. After it was pretty much a back and forth game as the Giants got what they needed to get win number 21. In this very close division title race, by the way. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Colorado Rockies they were led out by their starting pitcher Antonio Senzatella. He allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in 2 innings. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 1. The loss would go to the Rockies closer for the day, Daniel Bard. Bard allowed 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the 9th inning. He would strike out 3 batters. All of the outs that he got were strikeouts, and with this loss, he's 1-2. In the Rockies batting lineup, their center fielder Jonathan Daza went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their first baseman CJ Cron went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their third baseman Ryan McMahon would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit home run number 4. Their right fielder Randall Grichuk went 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Francisco Giants were led out by Alex Wood. Wood allowed 3 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 1. The win would go to the Giants' setup relief pitcher John Brebbia. Brebbia allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in the 8th inning as he struck out 3. With this win, he's 1-0. The save would end up going to the Giants' closer, Camilo Doval. Doval allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter and even walked 1. This is his 6th save of the year. In the Giants batting lineup, their second baseman Thairo Estrada went 2 for 3 with a run. Their pinch hitting designated hitter Darren Ruff would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 runs. Their catcher Kirk Casale went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 3 runs. He hit his second and third home runs of the season. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are 21-14. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West, as they've now won 7 of their last 10. They sit a game and a half behind the division leading and National League leading Los Angeles Dodgers. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are 17-18. That is the worst record in the National League West, as they've now lost their last 2 games. They are now sitting 8. They've now lost 8 of their last 10. They are sitting 5.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Dodgers at this moment. Taking a look at what happened up in the Bay, the Oakland Athletics hosted the Minnesota Twins. The AL Central leaders were able to get one up on the Athletics after breaking their 1-1 tie in the top of the 5th off of an RBI single from Byron Buxton. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Athletics saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Zach Logue. Logue allowed 2 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 2. With this loss, he's now 2-2. In the Oakland Athletics batting lineup, their shortstop Elvis Andrus went 2 for 3 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Twins were led out by Chris Archer. Archer allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits as he pitched 4 innings. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 2. The win would go to the Twins' first relief pitcher on the day, Yennier Cano. Cano allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit as he pitched 2 innings. He would strike out 2 batters, and with this win, he's now 1-0. The save would end up going to the Twins' closer for the day, Tyler Duffy. Duffy allowed no earned runs as he allowed no hits in the 9th inning. He would strike out a batter. He picked up his first save of the year. In the Twins batting lineup, their catcher Gary Sanchez went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 3rd home run of the year. With this win, the Twins are still holding the best record in the American League Central at 21-15. They've now won their last 2 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. With this record, they are tied with the Tampa Bay Rays for the 4th best record in the American League. They are now sitting 3 games ahead of the 2nd place Chicago White Sox in their division for the time being. And with this loss, the Oakland Athletics are 15-23. That is the worst record in the American League West. They are holding the 3rd worst record in the American League as the Tigers, the 4th worst record actually, as the Orioles, the Royals, and the Tigers all have worse records than the A's right now. The Athletics have lost their last 3 games, though. Only the Orioles have a longer active losing streak in the American League. The Athletics have lost 5 of their last 10. They're sitting 9 games behind the division-leading Houston Astros and the division runners-up, the LA Angels, and that is where they are. And last but not least, jumping out to Dodger Stadium, the LA Dodgers hosted the Diamondbacks from within their own division. The Dodgers would end up beating the Diamondbacks 5-4. They would go on to score all 5 of their runs in the 5th and 6th innings combined. After the Diamondbacks scored the first 2 runs of the game, the Dodgers took the lead off of a RBI double from the reigning champ Freddie Freeman. On the losing end of this matchup, the Arizona Diamondbacks would see the loss go to their starting pitcher Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner allowed 3 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out a batter and then walk 2. With this loss, he's now 2-2 on the year. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their second baseman, Ketel Marte, went 2 for 4 with a run, and he was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown LA Dodgers saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 2. With this win, Gonsolin is 4-0 on the year, and the save went to the Dodgers' elite closer, Craig Kimbrell. Kimbrell allowed 2 earned runs off of 2 hits in the 9th inning as he struck out 2 batters. With this save, he now has 6 on the year. In the Dodgers batting lineup, their elite first baseman and reigning champ, Freddie Freeman, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their second baseman, Max Muncy, went 2 for 4 with a run. And then their center fielder, Chris Taylor, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Chris Taylor hit his 3rd home run of the year. With this win, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 22-12. That is the best record in the National League West. They're holding on to the best win percentage in the National League. As of right now, only the New York Yankees have a better record than the Dodgers in baseball this year. And right now, the Dodgers have won their last 2 games. They've won 5 of their last 10. They are now sitting half a game ahead of the second place San Diego Padres within their division, as the Dodgers only have 1 less loss than the Padres right now. And with this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 18-18. That is the 4th best record in the NL West, as they've now lost their last 3 games. Their 3-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the National League. As of right now, the Orioles are the only team with a longer losing streak than the Diamondbacks right now. The D-backs have lost 5 of their last 10. They are now sitting 5 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers at this point. So that is what baseball is looking like as we get into today's matchups. Looking at, of course, the fact that today is Tuesday, there are going to be some doubleheaders, a good amount of them actually. But there are going to be no primetime game, or I guess the primetime game is going to be at 7:10 as Nathan Eovaldi and the Boston Red Sox are set to host Jose Urquidy and the AL West leading Houston Astros. Now looking at the doubleheaders, the first of which will be in Kansas City in Kauffman Stadium as the Kansas City Royals will host the Chicago White Sox. First of which is going to be on ESPN Plus at 2:10. Second of which is going to be happening at 7:10. Second doubleheader is going to be in Dodger Stadium as the Dodgers are set to host the Arizona Diamondbacks. First of these matchups will be at 3:10, and the second of these matchups is set to be at 10:10. So that's, of course, going to be some baseball there. And then, of course, jumping to Queens, the New York Mets, the National League East leaders, are set to host the NL Central runners-up for the moment, the St. Louis Cardinals. First of the game is going to be at 3:10. I think it's going to be a makeup from yesterday. And then the second one's going to be at 7:10. Looking at the games that aren't going to be doubleheaders, at 6:10 in Progressive Field, the Cleveland Guardians are set to host the Cincinnati Reds, as the Reds are still the only team in the major leagues who have yet to pick up 10 wins this year. At 6:40 in Tropicana Field, the Tampa Bay Rays are set to host the Detroit Tigers. At 6:40 in Lone Depot Park in Miami, the Miami Marlins are going to host the Washington Nationals. At 6:45 in Philly, the Phillies are going to host the San Diego Padres, as the Padres are knocking on the National League West door. At 7:07 in the Rogers Center, the Toronto Blue Jays are set to host the Seattle Mariners, as Logan Gilbert is going to make a start for the Mariners today. He comes in with a 4-1 record, holding a 2.13 ERA. At 7:10, keep going on, at 7:40 in Milwaukee, Adrian Hauser and the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers are set to host the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves. At the same time, at 7:40, the Chicago Cubs are set to host the Pittsburgh Pirates. At 8:05, the Texas Rangers are set to host the AL West leading Los Angeles Angels. At 8:40, the Colorado Rockies are set to host the San Francisco Giants. And then at 9:40, James Caprillion and the Oakland Athletics are ready to host the Minnesota Twins. Taking a look at what's going on outside of baseball as we jump to soccer overseas in the English Premier League, Arsenal would end up losing to Newcastle United as Arsenal ended up falling out of their fourth place spot in the Premier League as Tottenham put the pressure on Arsenal to win this game, but Arsenal ended up losing as both of the goals were scored in the second half, the first of which was off of an own goal. Not to mention, also in Serie A, Juventus would end up drawing with Lazio, as that would be Paulo Dybala's last game playing at Juventus in that home stadium. Following this matchup, Juve is still sitting fourth as nothing happened to them. Lazio now sits fifth as possibly Roma could overtake them in the last game, but I highly doubt it. Lazio is comfortably going to probably finish the season as the fifth seed, as all Italian teams have one more game in their schedule. Taking a look at what's going on today, the big game is going to be Liverpool versus Southampton at 2:45. As in the Premier League, Liverpool has two more games left in their schedule. They sit 4 points behind Man City. If Liverpool loses to Southampton or even draws, they more than likely should be out of the They should be out of the title race, as they have to beat Southampton if they want to keep their title hopes alive and possibly hope to see themselves win it over Man City. But of course, that is the big game that's going on today. And tomorrow is going to be the Europa League final, but we'll get to that a day at a time. With that said, today is Tuesday, May 16th, 2022. I'm James Sims. I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. And once everything is done today, I'll come back with more tomorrow on Wednesday, May 17th. Until then, I want to thank the NBA, NHL, MLB, and FIFA websites for giving me everything I needed. And I want to apologize for all the names I butchered, and I will get them back. I will get better as I do get better with time. And thanks for listening as we follow through what's been going on with sports every single day. And I do thank you for your patience, and I can't wait to keep going. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.